Look, I know this movie's getting a lot of hate, but I kinda had a fun time with it. Jurassic World Dominion is the supposed conclusion to the Jurassic Park franchise, and it stars Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, Laura Dern, Sam Neill, and Jeff Goldblum. 4 years after the destruction of Isla Nublar, dinosaurs now live and hunt alongside humans all over the world. This fragile balance will reshape the future and determine once and for all whether human beings are to remain the apex predators on a planet they now share with history's most fearsome creatures in a new era. Now, when it comes to my history with the Jurassic Park franchise, I will admit I've never been the biggest fan of the entire franchise, but with that being said, the first movie, it's an all-time classic. And when you have the return of those OG cast members, and I actually do kind of like the first Jurassic World, so when you put all those together, I was looking forward to this movie. And coming out of it, for all the problems it does have, and I will admit it does have problems, I still had a good time with it. Now let's talk about those characters. You have the return of the OG cast members, which obviously consists of Jeff Goldblum, Sam Neill, and Laura Dern, and it was really fun to see them back in the Jurassic Park world. I will say, as much as I did enjoy seeing them back, Sam Neill and Jeff Goldblum did feel like they were phoning in a little bit. Maybe they didn't necessarily want to be there. To me, at least, it felt like they were just taking the money and giving a fine performance, but a performance that lacks charisma. Even when Jeff Goldblum is delivering his comedic lines, they're kind of just like, haha. Like, in the original Jurassic Park movie, he was hilarious. When it comes to his performance here, and also Sam Neill, I just didn't really feel it. But while I didn't like them, Laura Dern was great. She just consistently feels like she's having a fun time. And I will say I do like Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt in the Jurassic World movies. And the mixture of all these big characters, including new ones too, I felt worked. It was pretty cool seeing them all get chased by a big T-Rex. The new cast members and newer cast members, DeWanda Wise, Mamadou Athie, and Isabella Sermon, who was in Fallen Kingdom. With Wise and Athie, I did enjoy their performances. I felt like they were having a fun time too. And Isabella Sermon, I wasn't too invested in that storyline in Fallen Kingdom, which we don't talk about that movie. But here she brings a lot of heart, and she kind of is the heart of the movie. Her relationship with Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt works well. They have that family bond. I will say that part of the movie won me over here. Obviously, with the Jurassic Park movie, you're gonna have fun action sequences. And here, really kind of right out of the gate, you get a fun action sequence. Lots of action sequences with water and like kind of icy areas. There's a lot of snow. And when it comes to those action sequences, I will say I felt like I was in them. I went to this movie with my family members and my uncle. He said that he didn't feel like the action sequences were all too well done, and he felt they were kind of dull, which I found to be pretty interesting. That's a casual viewer's perspective. From like a critical perspective, I felt like I was in the action sequences. They were intense. But that's kind of how different opinions in movies work. The movie's fun to look at. There's great visual effects, the dinosaurs, the CGI, it all looks very nice. And the direction too from Colin Trevorrow I thought was very nice. There's lots of cool shots of nature and this world that feels lived in. And my final big positive I have with the movie is that it's a solid ending to the franchise. While I would guarantee you we will probably see another one of the Jurassic World movies in 2 to 3 years, as for this big story that spanned across decades, now it's come to an end, or so we think. And how everything comes to a conclusion, I thought wrapped up nicely. I know people were complaining they felt underwhelmed, they didn't feel like it all wrapped up well. The third act gave me kind of what I was looking for, obviously fun action sequences, great character moments. And when it comes to that side of like ending a movie, I felt it worked well, and having it being the supposed ending to the franchise. I wasn't maybe emotional, I didn't find myself all too wrapped up in it, but I feel like for what they gave us, it was good. But now let's move on to my issues with the movie. I think the biggest one right out of the gate that I noticed very early on, we're jumping from place to place to place to place. This movie is messy. Obviously with all these characters, they're all in different parts of the world, go to all different sorts of places, and the story feels like it's all over the place at times. Because it's kind of bringing these two stories together, there's like two different stories that kind of are fighting for the screen. And so you'll meet up with the OG cast members, then they'll be gone for 30 minutes, you'll be with Chris Pratt for that time, then they'll come back, do a little back and forth. That's how a good majority of the movie is until you get to the end when they finally meet up, and that's about like 20-30 minutes. You have a solid hour and a half, hour 45 of these two stories that are kind of fighting for the spotlight. Something else that I noticed too is that there's some odd dialogue. It could have been the performances themselves, so the delivery was off too, but the dialogue just felt often cringy at times. Laura Dern talks about Jeff Goldblum sliding into her DMs. There's some weird lines from the villain of the movie too. It's odd stuff that felt out of place. And with the movie being messy, it's also very bloated. Again, you have a big story you're trying to tell with 10 plus characters. I feel like they could have done more rewrites with this script, maybe had another draft. It often feels like a lot of things in this movie are they're clashing with one another and they're trying to fight for the spotlight. Different plot points and storylines. Sometimes, and I'll even talk about Jurassic World, a movie that I do enjoy, that movie is felt almost simplistic to me. Obviously very similar to the original Jurassic Park. It's a simple story. Dinosaurs are going rampant and they're kind of destroying everything. And how do humans interact with that and how do they get out of the situation? But here you bring in the typical, a bad person wants to do something bad with this power. And trying to create more species and now it doesn't work. Even the girl that I was talking about earlier, you find out in Fallen Kingdom that she's like a duplicate of her mom. So you have that and how they want to use the girl. All this different stuff. I don't necessarily need that in a movie about dinosaurs taking over the world. Yes, I get it, you want to advance the story, but sometimes it's fun to just watch dinosaurs be dinosaurs. So that was a complaint I had. Another one, the movie is fairly nonsensical in some scenes. For example, Sam Neill falls off a ladder onto his back, onto his head. He's obviously 60, 70, maybe in the movie. You would think he would be severely injured as he's pretty high up and that's a big drop. Nope, just shake it off. No injuries, no bleeding, nothing. What? So that was one thing, but another thing, Chris Pratt. There's a scene where he gets into the water. This is like freezing cold water. Obviously it's snowing outside. The water is probably below freezing. I mean, what do I know? But you would probably assume he would get hypothermia. It's water that's frozen over. Obviously when you fall through a crack in the water that's all ice around it, it's freezing. And it's dangerous for your health. And Chris Pratt just gets out of it. He's all fine. Just little things like that that just don't make sense. And specific logical instances are put to the side for the benefit of the story. And last but not least, this movie is being promoted as what if dinosaurs lived among humans and what would go wrong? So they've been setting up within the past 2 movies to have this big conclusion. And Fallen Kingdom kind of exists just to set this up. But the movie isn't even really about what it's like to live amongst dinosaurs. I mean, yes, it's present in the movie. There are obviously scenes where humans are interacting with dinosaurs, but it's not the center of the story. Like I mentioned, it's all about making duplicates and making more dinosaurs and DNA and how it mixes and this guy wanting power because he can. I kind of just wish it was a little bit more basic. But with all that being said, I still had a fun time. I thought the entire cast, for the most part, was pretty great and they worked well with one another. It was fun seeing them all interact. You're gonna have your fun scenes with dinosaurs clashing and fun action sequences. And it's a good movie to look at from a visual perspective and from a directing standpoint. It's nice to look at. It's bloated, it's messy, it's pretty disposable. That's something too. But I do think if you are a fan of the Jurassic Park franchise, you're a fan of Jurassic World specifically like I am, I think you may find enjoyment in this one. Just like I tried to do at least, if you can turn your brain off and not find too many issues with it, kind of just relax and watch. I think it's an enjoyable summer blockbuster that is worth a ticket, especially in IMAX. I'm gonna give Jurassic World Dominion a B-. In terms of my grading scale, it just inches above that C+, which is kind of like a rotten score. A B-, I would still say it's a positive grade, positive review I would give it. But if you have seen Jurassic World Dominion, I want to hear your thoughts down below in the comments section. Did you hate it like some people are, or did you pretty much enjoy it like I did? Let me know. And thank you so much for watching this review, and if you did enjoy it, consider giving it a like as well as subscribing and hitting that notification bell to get notified whenever new videos like this go live. I will have a ranking of the entire Jurassic Park franchise coming to you very soon, and a bunch more videos coming later this month. Thank you again for watching, and look forward to more videos coming soon. My name is Ben, people call me Meter, and I'll see you guys in the next one.